The second thing is to set boundaries before you get online. Determine your purpose for dating. Are you intentionally dating? Are you out here just having fun? Whatever. Determine, that purpose so you go in knowing what your objective. Set boundaries. How many hours online are you gonna be using per day for dating? Who do you want to attract? That's another one. So what you put out, that's what you're going to attract. So make sure you're putting out the right message about yourself.
Mhm. And the setting boundaries is important, and letting people know ahead of time, what your intentions are.
Hmm.
But what I find that's odd is that just about every woman that you're seeing right now is looking for this long-term relationship, you know what I mean? And to try and eventually get married.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, some of us may not be in a position to really do that, you
Mm.
know? You just might be in a position where, for lack of a better word, you need a companion,
Mm.
somebody you can have fun with, maybe travel a little bit, hang out a little bit. And then eventually, once you get to know that person, they might say, hey, you know what? I'm compatible with them. Let's take it to the next level. But going into it
Time.
thinking,
It takes
huh?
time to get to that point, B.
Yes,
It takes
yes,
time. You're not going to
yes.
get there in a day or two. You're not going to get there in a week or two. You
Yes.
really have to um, put time into that person before you even make it. And unfortunately, people aren't doing that nowadays. Before you say, I'm going to marry you, because in my mind, it's till death do us part. That's a big decision. I want to know you. I want to know who you are, how you operate, good, bad, or indifferent, and that takes time to get to know someone.
And I'm gonna tell you, ladies, if a guy generally finds you to be, attractive to him, and he thinks you can provide him with peace of mind, and you can be an asset to him, you know, you're gonna have a pretty good chance of having a relationship with that guy. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? But if it gets to the point where he feels it's going to be uncomfortable, he doesn't have peace of mind, or perhaps he's not really that attracted to you, or he doesn't find where you're really compatible, or you have some anxiety issues, or whatever the case might be. And I'm just telling you from a man's perspective, you know, if you can kind of limit some of the negatives that come along with being in a relationship, and like I said, make yourself be an asset, you'll find that you'll have a lot more success when it comes to dating.
So let me ask you something. Is it true when they say, if you're dating somebody, a female, if you're dating a male, and they don't ask you to marry them after that year, is it safe to say they're not going to ever ask you to marry them?
Pretty much. Yeah.
You have
Yeah,
it, ladies.
pretty much. First of all, most men um, that are looking to get married, that's the other thing too. You got to gauge whether a man is looking to get married, because some men may not see marriage as a viable option to them. So you can't always go in thinking every guy you get with could be a potential husband. Okay. And I think it's necessary that you have that communication, you have that conversation up front and say, hey, what are you looking for when it comes to a female? Are you looking to just have fun? Are you looking to for a girlfriend? Are you looking for something long term? Perhaps like marriage. And I don't think we have this conversation at the beginning. And I think it would eliminate a lot of the BS that we're having to deal with when it comes to relationships if we just had those hard conversations up front. And I think a lot of us are afraid to have it because we think we're going to scare the person off, when in fact that's not really true. What you're doing is you're really vetting, okay, and you're really eliminating a lot of the BS on the front end and saving yourself a lot of heartache and and nonsense on the back end, to be honest
Right,
with
right.
you. But let me just tell you, if I was the type of guy that was looking to get married, right, I'm
Hmm.
gonna within the first 6 months to a year as to whether this is the one for me.
Hmm.
And that's just me. That's just me. But once again, a guy has to be in a position where he's looking for that type of relationship. You can't go out and get with a guy and think that, you're going to build up to that. If he's not already thinking like that, chances are it's not going to happen.
Right.
Two different types of guys. You know, there are husbands and there are others. And some guys aren't meant to be husbands.
Right.
I hate to tell you,
That's
you
right.
know.
Just like there's wives and there's others. So,
And sometimes, remember we talked about that 20%, where
mhm,
most women are looking at that 20%. Most of that 20% is not husbands, lady. They're not husband material.
right.
Okay. The husband material is normally in that 80% that maybe you don't find to be as attractive. Okay. So there may be some settling that you have to do. And that's where I think we run into problems because a lot of times women, because I believe that women choose the men that they're going to be with. And a lot of times they don't want to settle.
Hmm.
They want the guy who's 6 feet, makes six figures, that all the other women are going to look at it and say, damn, I wish I had him. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? That's what they're looking for. Instead of just getting a guy who's maybe average height, makes good money, going to take care of you and love you to death. That's what you need to be looking at.
Right, right.